Thanks for tuning in to Celeb Source, your source for celeb news. Now today we have DaBaby's town meeting. Lil Nas X denies being a barb. R. Kelly, what do you think? Cardi B on sketchy cases. 6ix9ine responds to Kim Kardashian. Beyonce's old flame. And Jay-Z with the sketchy business deal. Never. Yo, thanks for tuning in to Celeb Source. If this is your first time to the channel, be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. Make sure you like us in advance because you know that helps us out. And once again, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for seeing us down there in the comment. Now, DaBaby holds down our top spot for today as he is running for public office in his hometown of Charlotte, North Carolina. Well, not running for public office, but he might as well, since he held a press conference with city officials and community leaders titled Black Lives Been Mattered. The event took place at the Mecklenburg County Sheriff Office, where he was joined by Sheriff Gary McFadden and City Councilman Braxton Winston and former Carolina Panther Thomas Davis. Now, the discussion centered around examining police reform, systematic racism, and how the Black Lives Matter movement has impacted North Carolina. Now, DaBaby stepped up to the social media's podium and stated the following, quote, "It's time to have a serious conversation about police reform and systematic racism in our city. Black lives been mattered and always will matter." Close quote, before putting hands on a reporter that put a mic in his face and happily dancing off stage. Of course, he didn't do that. Lil Nas X has finally admitted that he ran a fan page for Nicki Minaj, highlighting the fact that he was indeed a Barbie. But he has also stated that he did not want to outwardly admit to being a Barbie because the association of Barbies and homosexuality being rather high, and the gatekeepers of hip-hop would not be too welcoming of the artist knowing that he has come out. Now, the Queen Barbie stated that it was a bit of a sting that he would not outwardly admit to being one of her bigger fans, but she also stated that she understood his fear of coming out as a rapper in a culture that is not too friendly to the concept of rappers coming out the closet. She also congratulated him on building up his confidence to speak his truth. In fact, he followed her response by saying, quote, "The generous queen, I love you. And I'm sorry I did that in a time where you were already getting so much bandwagon hate. I felt so bad, hoping you wouldn't see my denial. I was just so afraid of people finding out about me and losing everything before I even got a chance." Close quote. How much you want to bet? How much you want to bet those two make a track in the coming weeks? I mean, she didn't quite sound like she was down, but I would have never thought that she would have jumped on a track with Tekashi 6ix9ine. R. Kelly, I know, the name sends chills down your spine. Makes you want to lock your kids in their room for good reason, even the 2-year-old ones. Now, come October, the parent's worst nightmare will find himself facing a judge in his first federal trial for child pornography. Kelly and his 2 co-defendants are set to face charges of conspiring to produce child pornography. Now, another charge put on the disgraced singer is running a sex trafficking operation in New York City where he preyed on schoolgirls and allegedly kidnapped them and drugged them. Now, Kelly did remain jailed in Chicago and tried to get out of jail using the coronavirus as a reason. But coronavirus was like, "I got nothing to do with you, bruh. Keep my name out your mouth." And he was denied. The judge felt that he might be a flight risk, and I could see him fleeing, especially when there's a clip when he went to Africa and saying, quote, "Do you have a passport? Did you get your shots? Girl, would you like to come back with Rob to America?" Close quote. Catchy, but disgusting.
Do you have your passport? Did you get your shots?
Now, given the current situation and atmosphere of our society and everything going on involving unarmed black people and police, a peculiar string of hangings have been taking place throughout the country in different cities. Now, what's most peculiar about the hangings is that a few of them have been labeled as suicides, if not all of them. But the options that we are actually faced with are these suicides or potentially lynchings? Now, I'm not gonna lie, and a lot of folks may not understand this, and I'm not saying it never happens, but many blacks look at the situation and straight up say, well, we don't do that kind of thing. Now, you could get mad, but it's not something we normally hear taking place in our community. If you don't like that, tough. I don't always like gravity, but gravity don't care if I jump off a balcony from my aunt's 36th floor apartment. Cardi B has weighed in on these hangings with a post that says, quote, "Who the pluck, climbs a tree, sits on a branch, ties a rope, and hangs himself." Like, I'm trying to picture it in my head and I can't see it. These hangings are not suicide, it's murder. And the emoji with the monocle, along with the suspicious emoji, follows her quote. Close quote. Cardi B, I feel you on that one. Now, a fan of Kim Kardashian West posted a video of her in different scenarios to 6ix9ine's song Trolls, and she asked Kim Kardashian what she thought of the fan cam video. Now, the media magnet responded to the fan cam by saying, "I love it," with a few exclamation points. 6ix9ine, of course, scurried into the conversation talking about, "I'm a peasant in comparison to you and Kanye." Half of social media vomited at the praise, and the other half of social media thought she loved what the fan did of her. Not just song, sit down. But wait, there's more. Nicki Minaj came out from the other side, letting the public know that the #1 song on iTunes, Trolls, has an alternate version. Yes, the song is #1 on iTunes. In fact, her 15th #1 song on that platform, and Nicki ain't new to being #1. It's like a walk in the dollhouse for her. That #1 song has an alternate version, which, according to Nicki, the official Trolls verse was version 11. This is version 1. Verse changes and beat changes, but now you guys get a glimpse of where my verse begins versus how it ends up once my creative process is complete. You see that? There's multiple versions of Nicki's creative process that you get to enjoy. Now, have I got a good one for you? And yes, you might have heard bits and pieces about this one, but you haven't heard it from us. So don't go all, this is clickbait, like some little schoolgirl that just discovered that boys pee different. Lyndall Locke. Who's that, you say? Well, Lyndall Locke is the guy that used to date Beyonce for approximately 6 or so years, maybe 9 years, and had a relationship with her for approximately 9 years. The details are somewhat sketchy, but he had a relationship with her before cheating on her. Tis, sir. Give me the details, celeb source. Come on, let me know more. Well, that's what I'm here for. Listen. Locke was a high school relationship that Beyonce had when she was younger. In fact, Locke was the Queen Bee's first relationship. The Queen Bee stated, quote, "People would be surprised as to the lack of experiences I had. When I was 12 or 13, I had my first boyfriend, and he was my boyfriend till I was 17. At that age, that was a long time. Alright, I've always been very loyal and a little more mature, though I was too young for it to really be a boyfriend. We didn't live together. We didn't, that was my only experience with a guy. And since then, I've only had one other boyfriend in my life, which was Jay-Z. Aww. Now, bruh man stated that he met the queen through Kelly Rowland and remembers when he fell in love with her, stating, quote, "She looked like an angel. The most beautiful girl I've ever seen. We'd hang out after school and almost every night we'd fall asleep talking to each other on the phone." Close quote. Aw, teardrop. Your boy talked about their first kiss at a Brian McKnight concert when they were 15, when he said, quote, "We both just looked at each other, realizing there was this incredible spark of fireworks between us. It was that fairy tale kiss you only hear about in the movies." Was it though? That was the first feeling of true love between me and Beyonce. Still to this day, I never had another kiss as passionate as that one. Close quote. My man. I hope you're not married, bruh, or your wife, having heard that, will be like Ebo the Don talking about, I pray to God he pull up. Now, Locke stated that it had become harder to be faithful to the queen when Destiny's Child started to blow, stating, quote, the bigger star she became, the more I didn't think I was good enough. That ego gets us every time. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. One night when she was out of town, it's always when they're out of town. I went to a bar, the place where all stories go bad, with friends and ended up sleeping with another woman. At the bar, bro? Savage. Over the course of a few years, I cheated on her about 5 times. What an animal. But I never told her until after we broke up. Close quote, because you know Solange would have had you folded up in the elevator somewhere, partner. The couple went Splitsville around 2000, and soon after, Beyonce met Jay-Z at Cancun on MTV's Spring Break. I used to love MTV's Spring Break. Now, Locke continued, saying, quote, once she began dating Jay-Z, I knew we were doomed, and I could never win her back. You think? Beyonce was the love of my life and I was hers. So losing her is still my biggest regret. No, really? She would say to me all the time, I'm afraid to ever live my life without you, Lyndall. I want you to be mine forever. He added, who cheats on a woman as beautiful as Beyonce? I'll answer that. I got it. You do, sir, Lyndall Locke. You cheat on a woman as beautiful as Beyonce. You, sir. Well, he continued on and said, well, I am that man, and it's something that'll always haunt me. Close quote. Your boy went so far as to say, she will always love me. Incredible. I will always wonder, what if? And given all we shared, I'm sure a part of her must feel the same way. Close quote. Sir, I doubt it. Now, finally, Jay-Z of Roc Nation is suing their New York landlord because they refused to sign a subleasing agreement. But they're not signing the agreement because the $75 million company hasn't paid rent since April. Would Jay-Z do a thing like that? The pandemic has left large portions of the United States sinking in unemployment. Yeah, we got it. And since unemployment rates are high, landlords are not receiving payments from their tenants. Ivanhoe Cambridge delayed signing off on subleases for Roc Nation for parts of their building in Manhattan's Garment District because Roc Nation has not paid rent since April. Now, Roc Nation has invoked a force majeure clause in the lease. Now, this is when both parties are freed from contractual obligations because circumstances beyond their control arise, like COVID-19, making the contract impractical or impossible to uphold. Now, Cambridge says the pandemic doesn't activate the clause. I mean, come on. Roc Nation, your rent is due. Roc Nation is asking the courts to step in and uphold the clause and force the landlord to sign the sublease agreement. Now, lots of businesses have invoked this clause, so there should be no reason why Jay-Z's Roc Nation should not also be able to invoke this clause. Now, many landlords are stating that companies are taking advantage of the clause to not meet their lease agreements as if a global pandemic is not really happening. Look, all I know is this. Jay's lawyers, that front line is harder than the blue line of silence that police don't cross. What am I saying? Ain't nothing harder than that. Yo, let us know what you think. Does Beyonce soak her pillow in tears every night thinking about the relationship that her and Lyndall Locke could have had, despite the 5 times he cheated on her? And would female intuition ever kick in and clue her to the fact that your boy Lyndall Locke could couldn't be trusted, having cheated on her approximately 5 times. Yo, let us know what you think in the comments below. Yo, be sure to like, be sure to subscribe. Yo, thanks again for tuning in to Celeb Source, your source for celeb news.